Welcome everybody to our next Future You session this week, and this is Digital Readiness for the Workplace. My name is Jackie Smith and I'm joined by my colleague Gail Hamilton today. We both work out of the Coleraine campus in Employability and Careers. I'm the Employability and Enterprise Consultant, so part of my role in my job is I actually run a new programme called the Enterprise Placement Year, and that's for students who want to go out and set up and run their own businesses or freelance for their placement and be self-employed and self-manage. So that's part of my role. My background, and you're kind of wondering why am I doing digital stuff? Well, my background I have a few careers in banking and finance, and also in further education and my own business. And part of each of those roles, I was employed as a digital trainer, digital skills trainer. I taught Microsoft Office. I was in the bank and in the college teaching new systems, new digital systems to staff to help them upskill and implement new systems to make their work more efficient. And it was all about new digital technologies. So I've been involved in that, and I'm involved in that here at the university as well for quite a while. And being, as you'll see going through this session today, being open to new digital solutions and seeing tasks that are very manual and very cumbersome, and being the sort of person who can quite readily look at various digital applications that might be out there and say, well, do you know what? Actually, this job or this task is really cumbersome. It's really time consuming for the staff member. I know how we can speed this up by using this digital tool. Being that sort of person where you can see a scenario, see a task, and be able to map it across to something that is going to make somebody's life a lot easier in the workplace is a really good skill to have. So, you know, it's not just about being completely au fait with using the systems or being able to code or anything like that. It's having that digital innovative mindset where you can actually be able to map across tasks to particular digital and technological solutions that are going to make a workplace more efficient and more effective. And employers love that, by the way. Any business that you're applying to a job for, if you can say, do you know what, I'm good at spotting solutions to make life easier in the workplace. They just lap that up. That's making life easier is what an employer wants to hear. So we're going to have a quick look at what is digital readiness this morning, and then looking at some of the commonly used digital tools at work. We can't go through every single digital application because there are just hundreds and hundreds and hundreds, but we're going to look at ones that are more commonly used so that you can identify those, be able to talk about them at interview, maybe be able to upskill yourself a little bit on some of those tools so that if you're asked at interview, do you know how to analyze data in an Excel spreadsheet, or do you know how to create an infographic? What software would you use to display the your numerical data into an easy to read presentation? You know, you'll be able to identify that and talk knowledgeably, or at least refer to it. Digital skills then, obviously, how do you know what you know? How do you know what you don't know? We're going to look at little assessment tools to help you identify your gaps, and that's important. But the more important thing is then taking the next step and saying, okay, well, there's my gaps. What am I going to do about it? How am I going to improve those? So I'm going to take you through a few places where you can fill those gaps and improve those skills that you're missing. And then we'll have a little Q&A at the end. And there's going to be a little quiz in between as well. just a wee bit of fun, but very practical and scenario based. So hopefully that'll help. If at any point during the session today you have questions, feel free to raise your hand and turn your mic on. Gail's going to monitor the chat box as well. You can put your questions in there. And because we're quite a small group, I'm quite happy, Gail, just to answer questions as and when during the session. It's not a hugely long session today. Everybody okay? If you're all with me and you're all ready to go, give me a wee thumbs up in the chat and we will get going. Okay, great. Thanks, Ella. One thumbs up, so that's good. Okay, so what is digital readiness? So this is something which has been researched quite a lot, and especially over the last couple of years, obviously with the pandemic, with people using more digital tools and just having to use them from working from home and so on. There's a lot more research happening at the minute, but even before the pandemic, there was research going on that basically was looking at what companies are doing in the world with digital tools, and more than 80% of the companies worldwide have accelerated their ongoing digitalization process. So digital readiness and having employees in your workforce who are capable of using digital tools, and a lot of them, as we know, because you guys have all been working from home as well, are unsupervised. So it means that there's not somebody in the office standing over your shoulder all the time. If you're in a hybrid working situation, you may be in the office some of the time and have that help, but sometimes you're going to be working from home perhaps, and you'll not have somebody there to go, how do you do this? What system do I use for this? So being digitally ready means that you know that when you enter a new job, or when you're going into a business which is going through a digital transformation, that you are mindful of that you know how to access those tools, that you have a broad understanding of how to use different digital technologies, and therefore you're not clueless. You are effective and efficient in your work, and you can produce results that you need to produce using those digital tools. So digital readiness is really saying that the workforce and the employees have the behavioural competencies, that you have those digital behaviours, that you are open to change, that you're open to trying out new digital tools. You have those cognitive skills, those understandings, those skills of being able to understand a task and apply it to a digital application, and you just have proficiency in being able to, if something doesn't quite work, you're not going to throw your hands in the air, you're going to kind of work at it and try and figure it out yourself. So those are the sorts of skills, competencies and behaviours that an employer is looking for when they come in to their workplace. And I've popped a link on for that report and that source if you want to look into it a bit further. So before we get on to the software part, I suppose we should really say that digital readiness is not just about what you do on the computer, as in the software, the applications, the programs, but it's how do you use the hardware? Do you know how to use it? Do you know what digital the pieces of digital tools that you need in order to access the software? So you'll see today I've been very naughty because I have failed already. I have forgotten my headset today, so I've failed there. But what digital tools do you need to ensure that you can work remotely, or even within an office environment, that you have the right tools there? If they don't work, do you know how to fix them? Can you just very quickly troubleshoot what's going on? And it's just becoming familiar with how to plug them in, how to adjust the settings that for volume, for camera, for microphone, and so on and so forth. So that's just a little add-on there, that we sometimes think of digital technology, we think of the software, but we sometimes forget about the hardware that we need to access it. So what areas use digital tools? Actually, I've just put this up and realised this is the whiteboard activity, Gail. So I nearly put the answers up there very quickly. So maybe just share, if we could share a whiteboard. And so what I want you to do is think about any organisation, any work environment, and think about the particular tasks or areas of your workspace where you would need to use, or you may use, digital technologies. So if you want to pop some of your answers onto the whiteboard, that would be amazing. And let's see what you think. Even think about your university life, or if any of you are working part-time in any organisations where you're using digital tools, just pop up some ideas of what you use them for, why you use them. Brilliant. Creating presentations, absolutely. Any others? Is everybody okay with using the whiteboard? Oh, here we go. All right, there's just a wee bit slow, I think, today. Online meetings and appointments, absolutely. We need to think about, yeah, online interviews, 100%. We need to think about what happens if, for instance, Gail and I need to work together on something, and Gail is working from home and I'm working from the office. Don't think we're getting any other responses, Gail. No? No other ideas? Working in documents, brilliant. I was waiting for that one. I was wondering if anybody would come up with that. That's good. So working in documents, document management, file and folder management, sharing documents, sharing work, collaborating together. Okay, look, we'll stop sharing the whiteboard and go back to the presentation again. So let me see, put this back. Brilliant, thank you. So really, digital tools, what areas we use in the workplace? Communication, so some people had said about emails, online meetings, absolutely. Collaboration, being able to work together. No, you don't have to be in the same office to do it. So there's digital tools to help with collaborating, and that could be using online meetings, or it could be using just working together in shared documents where you're both typing at the same time, you're both inputting information at the same time, and you can both see what's going on. Task and project management, there's software that allows people to make sure that projects are running at the right pace, that tasks are getting done by the right people, by deadlines, keeping everything on track. Document management, cybersecurity, financial. Obviously, if you're working in banking and finance or anywhere, accountancy, anything like that, you'll have financial management software. Data management, learning, management for HR, and people management for HR. So there's a lot of areas, and I haven't even probably put everything in there, but virtually everything that you do in the workplace these days will require some kind of digital input. When would you, maybe just put in the chat, when would you maybe use one type of digital tool over another? So say, for instance, let's take communication as an example. When would you, or why would you use email instead of maybe instant messaging or a video call? So give me an idea, when and what scenario, or why would you use an email instead of a video call or an instant message? Yes, Ella, email might be more formal. Why might you need it to be more formal, Ella? You can also turn your mic on if you want to speak. That's absolutely fine. Why? Email, very good. Yes, Ella. So a record of the conversation. So you might need to keep a record of a particular instruction or an answer to a question, or whatever it is. And yes, work related things. So anything where you need to keep document that communication for future reference. Or maybe it's very complex and you need to be able to send it so that people can keep referring back to it over and over again. Whereas if you do an instant message, it's gone. If you do a video call, well, you're just talking and people may not remember. So absolutely. Yes, actually, that's a really, really good point, Prasangi, is use as evidence if issues arise, absolutely. So especially within the likes of HR is really important. If you're communicating out to, say, somebody about their sick leave or something about their time management or absence, you need to make sure that you are recording that those communications have been sent to the person, so that later on, if there is an issue, the person can and says, "Oh, I was never told." At least you have the email thread there. You have the evidence to say, yes, you were told, you were informed on such and such, and so on and so forth. So very important. And in terms of business as well, for things like communicating with clients and given acting on client instructions or sending quotes or things like that, you absolutely should be using the right type of digital tool. So that's just communication. I mean, there's elements in each of those as to what is the best tool to use for each scenario. Everybody okay so far? Yep, excellent. Okay, so I'm going to test you a little bit now. So I've got just some icons up on the screen there, and you can either, again, put your hand up and answer verbally or pop them in the chat. Let's see if we can identify as many of those icons as possible. And this is just the communication software examples. And I think there's a couple of them, there's a few of them that already have the names of them on the icon, but let's see if we can identify some of these. So any guesses, any answers? Yes, Jack, Outlook is the first one. What's the monkey? Oh, we've got a Zoom there, absolutely. Which one? That's the, you've noticed Zoom, right, okay. We'll not say which is which, that's okay. Any others? The blue camera, yes, 100%, Ella, well done. Anybody know what the green camera is? Anybody know what the monkey represents? Yes, Microsoft Teams is the one with the T on it. Well done. Well, we should all know what the little blue bird is. Twitter, good. Okay. Nobody's got the coloured crisscross yet. No. Some of these you may not recognise, but you will if you go into a workplace that uses them. Okay, do we give up? Okay, so MailChimp, well done, Leslie, well done. So we've got Outlook and MailChimp, and then in the next box we've got Teams. Below that we've got Zoom. Cisco WebEx is another virtual communication video call tool, and below that we've got Google Meet is the green camera. The next one then we've got that box is Trello and Slack is the crisscross, and those are sort of they're project management, kind of chat messaging, communication, collaboration types of software that teams would use. It's a wee bit like Teams, but a wee bit different. To keep in contact with each other, to communicate, to put up instant messages, to keep track of projects, and so on, and assign tasks to various members of their teams. And then at the top right hand side there we've got Twitter and Yammer, and Yammer is another Microsoft product, and it's like an internal Twitter just for staff, so it's like an internal messaging instant messaging system. It's like a social media for the workplace is there as well. So those are just a few, but it's just to get you to recognize those, because these would be some of the commonly used software applications that are used in a lot of organizations. So even if you're recognizing those, and say for instance you're applying for a job and you see that they use Slack as their method of communication, you can recognize that and you can say, oh yes, I haven't used Slack in a workspace, but I have done a training course on it and I understand how to use it and I'm up to speed and I can quickly integrate into communicating with my team members remotely using Slack. Is this all making sense? It's just to allow you to identify these and know where, which I'm going to tell you later, where to go to find how to upskill on them. So I'm going to quickly just go through some of the different areas, and I'm going to send you these slides afterwards just so that you have them to refer to, and you can go and look them up, some of these applications up later. But under communication, you can see there is a wide range of software and apps here that you could possibly be using in your workplace. What I'm going to do is ask just pick a couple of these out and ask you, in what situation or what might you use this particular application for in a workplace? So the first one I'm going to ask is doodle polls. So has anybody heard of Doodle? And do you know what doodle polls, and the clue is sort of in the name, how you might use that in a workplace setting? No ideas as yet? Yes, Ella, good to take a poll during a meeting to find out to maybe get them to vote on something. You could do that. One of the common ways that we use Doodle in the workplace is when you don't have access to everybody's calendars. Say you're trying to set up a meeting with some people that are external to the organization and you can't actually use Outlook calendar to see if they're free at the time. You can set up a doodle poll to send out to them to come back and say, here's a list of dates and times that we could have a meeting. Which ones are suitable for you? They tick all the boxes that are suitable. and all the people tick all the boxes are suitable. And then when that you look at the results, you can see, oh look, everybody is free on the 24th at 12 o'clock. Great. There's 5 ticks in there. We'll set the meeting up for that time. So that's a really quick way of getting people to say, yes, I'm free then. Okay, when you can't actually see their calendars. Okay. Brisangi says get opinions. Yes, you can do that to get opinions on, we want to do this project. Do it this way or do it that way. What's your opinion? Which way would you like to do it? And so on and so forth. So you've got that. Other communication tools, there are Eventbrite. I'm sure most of you have probably used Eventbrite to book in to events and so on. So you can set up an event there on Eventbrite and allow people to register for events and so on and so forth, and communicate out to people what the event is. Twitter and Yammer are those instant messaging, social media type things where you can just quickly chat with other colleagues and other people and let them know quick opinions or quick news updates in that kind of setting. So there's quite a few there. I'm going to move on to the next one, which is collaboration. So that was communication. So communication, just giving people information, giving people the opportunity to respond to information and so on and so forth. Collaboration is where we're working together on projects, on particular work tasks. And there's some there that you'll recognize, like Teams. Hopefully you recognize SharePoint. Here's a question for you. When would you use SharePoint over OneDrive? And do you know what SharePoint is, actually? Maybe I should ask to start with. Does anybody know? Right, no responses. So SharePoint, so Microsoft OneDrive is your own personal cloud storage where you can save your own files and folders and work. Alice is sharing a large amount of information, select group. Yes. So SharePoint, Ella, you're on the right track. SharePoint is, as it says, it is the cloud storage for the entire team or entire group, where everybody has access to it. So when you save something in SharePoint, everyone who is set up to have access to that SharePoint site will be able to view, edit, work on those particular documents and files. So SharePoint is exactly that. It is somewhere where you're storing information that everybody in the team has access to very quickly. Okay. You can also in SharePoint set up little internal websites, so little like communication sites and intranets where it's not shared on the World Wide Web, so it's not an internet access, but it's an intranet within your own team or your own organization. So you can set it up, and it actually does look like a website and a web page, and everything's very interactive, but it's contained only within your organization. Okay. Other tools like Slack, you've maybe used Mural. If you've been, maybe some of your classes you've used Mural. So it's another way of, it's like a little bit like an interactive whiteboard where you're sharing information and you're working on projects together on the one big whiteboard space. Trello is a bit like Slack. It's for like project management and communications between different teams. And Monday again is a bit the same. SurveyMonkey, somebody identified, no, we didn't identify SurveyMonkey earlier. SurveyMonkey is a collaborative tool for getting opinions and getting feedback and so on and so forth. And then Forms either Microsoft Forms or Google Forms. Again, same thing, where you're collaborating with other people, getting their opinions, and being able to take those opinions further into your task. Okay, I'm going to go and just have a look at task and project management software and document management. And these items, some of you, if you're going to go into an organisation where you're the likes of PwC, Deloitte, any of those organisations where you are working on project management, they well may use some of these pieces of software here that are listed, or they may have their own bespoke project management software that has been specifically written for their organisation, which probably with the larger organisations is more likely, but with smaller private consultancy firms, maybe smaller engineering firms, computer software firms, where they can't afford maybe to get somebody to come in and write bespoke software for them, they will maybe use the off-the-shelf software apps, and they may use some of these that are listed. Gantt Pro would be probably one of the most popular project management softwares, as well as Microsoft Project, which I forgot to write down here, but Microsoft Project would be another one. But you can use elements of project management and all of these other apps as well. And project management just means that it's keeping a track of the time scale, the deadlines, the tasks that need to be completed by whom, by when, capturing results, being able to follow up with people to see if they're on track, being able to assign tasks, being able to log problems, log updates, and all of that, so that there's a very clear narrative of what is going on at every single point of the project. And it also means some of the project management software will also interact with billing. So it means that at certain points of the project, the client may need to be billed at certain points, but they also need to understand what they're paying for and how much work has actually been accomplished by that point of the project. So it all kind of interlinks, but it is very much, these types of software apps very much is all about ensuring that there's very clear and concise information, and it's important that those are used properly, because there is another person maybe coming after you in the project, and they can't do their task until they know that yours is complete and that the information is there for them to then pick up and use for their part. So that's kind of what that's used for. Document management, then we talked about SharePoint, also OneDrive, your own personal file storage. There's Dropbox Business, Google Drive, DocuWare, Adobe even has some document management software there as well. And again, that's not to say that there won't be businesses out there who have their own bespoke software written for them. But one of the things I would say as we go through all of this is, once you know and have sort of got some practice at using different types of apps in each of those areas, then if you go into a business where they have their own bespoke software, it's really going to do the same sort of thing. It may be laid out slightly differently, there may be different menu options, but if you have a good understanding of how a database works or how you see files and folders, you know what to look for, and it makes it a lot easier to quickly upskill into a new piece of software. Okay, so that's the one tip I would give you. Right, now, everybody okay? Okay, so now we're going to have a wee bit of fun now. So we're going to play What the App. So I have come up with a wee quiz for you, and basically it's to allow you to identify the best application that you think you would use for each of the tasks or scenarios that I've laid out. Okay, so you can either open a new window and go into minty.com, or you can scan that QR code on your phone. And what I want you to do is just give me a thumbs up when everybody has got into it, and then I will share the screen here. Gail has popped the code into the chat there. Ella's on. Good. Just if you're on, just wait, and then I will share the screen. Now, let me see. Let me just check that I have got everything up and running here. Right. Do you think we're good to go, Gail?
Can we have a couple more thumbs up whenever you get in and get access?
I'm sharing the screen and it's got the answers on it. Oh dear. Okay, just waiting. We've only got 3 people. Anybody else joining us? Now we'll start the countdown. Can you hear me, Gail?
I can hear you.
Yeah, well, there's 4. Right, let's see if we get anybody having problems getting on to the quiz. 5, good, well done. We've got 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Right, okay. Oops, somebody's left. Right, we'll give it a go. Excellent, Leslie, thank you. Okay, here we go. So look at your own screen if it's your mobile or your tab. This is the question. To allow everyone in the organisation to access policy documents, would you use OneDrive, Outlook or SharePoint? Well done to the 3 of you who said SharePoint. Absolutely, SharePoint is the correct answer. That's for everyone to access those documents in your organisation. Okay, next question. To send a promotional campaign to 1,000 clients, which app would you use? Outlook, Word or MailChimp? Well done. Yes, MailChimp is exactly the right answer. You can, of course, use Word or Outlook to do mail merge, but for 1,000 clients, that would be really cumbersome. Okay, next question. Okay, to organise a suitable date and time for a meeting without access to everyone's calendar. Oh dear, I think I may have given the answer to this earlier. Oh, Doodle was the right answer. So that is where you don't have access to everyone's calendar, you use Doodle. Outlook is if you have set up a meeting within your own organisation and you can see everyone's calendars. And Forms just wouldn't, it's too cumbersome, it wouldn't allow you to do what Doodle does. Okay, next one. You need to present some boring statistics in an infographic. What would you use? Word, Canva, or PowerPoint? Well done. So there was a wee bit of a trick question there. 2 correct answers, Canva or PowerPoint, both would be great applications to use to make infographics. Okay, and last question, then we'll see who your winner is going to be. So you need to create a work rota for part-time staff, automatically checking staff hours are not exceeded. Which Outlook, Excel, or Teams? Oh, that was a hard one. Yeah, the answer for that is Excel, and the reason is that you need to check that the staff hours are not exceeded. So you would need to create a formula and make a calculation to ensure that people are not going over their time and having to pay them for overtime. So Excel is the right answer for that one. Okay, so let's see who won. Oh, Ella! Congratulations, Ella. You are the winner today. Okay. I'm trying to get rid of my music now. There we go. It's gone now. Okay, well done, Ella. Did you enjoy that? Yeah. Did you, during that, I know that was a little bit of a fun session, but did you learn anything from those 5 questions did you learn anything from those 5 questions for those scenarios? Was there anything that surprised you with those answers? Because there's a few of you got the right answers, and there's a few of you chose something that you thought was right, but it wasn't quite. So any feedback on that? Was there anything that you felt, oh, I always thought you used this application to do this type of task, and now you've actually discovered there's a better one? No comments? Everybody okay? Okay, that's fine. Right, let's move on to the next part of the session today. Oh, Ella's never heard of Doodle before today. Ella, go you and play with Doodle. It's great fun, and it's a great way of actually people use Doodle not just for workplaces. They use it to organise meetups with friends, and maybe organise. Say you were organising a secret birthday celebration or a little party or something, and you can set up a doodle to send out to a load of people, obviously not the person that you're doing it for, and see what suits everybody to meet up and just use it that way. So you can use it for all sorts of things. Okay, good stuff. Right, so we've been through some of the digital tools for different types of tasks that you might be working, or different areas that you'd be working in a business or an organization, different tasks that you might, have to complete, and what types of tools you need to, and software you need to think about using. And that last little quiz, while it was a wee bit of fun, it is actually quite important to understand, based on the task that you've been asked to do, what is the best application, what is the best piece of software to produce the results that you need. So you're always thinking about the end result. And one of the things, actually, before we get on to your digital scapes, one of the common questions I get a lot is around whether you use a table in Excel or a table in Word. So my rule of thumb is, if there's a lot of text going into the table and there's no calculations, use Word. If it's more to do with recording data for calculating, for producing graphs or charts, or for analysing the data in any sort of shape or form, then Excel is the best one to use. What we find is when in Excel, because you're trying to, if there's a lot of text to record, it's all trying to fit within one cell, and then you have to expand it out and so on and so forth and move it around, and it can become quite cumbersome and messy. So that would be one of the things you need to think about, is what's your end goal? What is your purpose for using the digital tool or the purpose of that task? And then pick the piece of software that is actually going to produce the result that you need. Okay, let's now look at digital skills gaps. So we've had a look at all of the areas and tools that are very commonly used in businesses. But how do you assess whether you can use them or not? So I'm just going to quickly share another little Menti here just to get an idea for you to think about how, let me see if I can get this up now. Yeah, here we go. Okay, so I want you to have a go at this, just to have a think for yourself on how you feel, where you feel you are in your confidence in each of these areas. And these are common areas that you may be asked and common tasks that you may be asked to do in a workplace. Okay, so if you pop into that code into menti.com and just put yourself, obviously, the further along the line you go will be how confident you feel in using each of those areas to do those tasks. Okay, so let me see if we've any results yet. Is everybody getting on to that Menti okay? Okay, so one person has answered. Right, okay, good. Okay, so another one. All right, and this is good, you know, for you to take a note of some of these tasks. What the employers that we talk to, a lot of them do come back to us and say, you know, we're getting graduates in or placement students in, and we're asking them to set up a meeting, to schedule a meeting in Outlook, and they don't know how to do it. And we need them to do that. We need them to be able to, you know, do that as part of their job. We need them to be able to update data from clients and customers into a database. We need them to be able to create a chart to display numerical data that's coming in. Like, for instance, it could be sales, it could be you know, employee absence or sickness, it could be anything, you know, to show that in a report. So take a note of some of these and say, well, actually, that's something I hadn't thought about that I might be asked to do in my job. Maybe I should go and find out how to do it. Okay, so I'm hoping that these areas are starting to resonate with you, and it's things that unfortunately you're not maybe taught on your university degree, because it maybe doesn't, you know, it's not the technical skill that you're being taught, but these are the skills that people don't think about, that you need to be able to use when you go into a workplace. Okay, and no matter what job you're doing. Okay, well done everybody, thank you. We'll jump back into the PowerPoint again here. So into gaps. Thanks, Gail. Okay, so digital skills gaps. So I've kind of got that feedback from you now, and you've kind of had a wee think about it. So here's a couple of really good assessment tools that you can use to figure out where are my weaknesses, where are my gaps. So I'm going to pop, I should be able to do this, Gail, from my other PowerPoint here. We pop the links into the chat for you here. The first one there, which is the Digital Skills Accelerator, is really good because not only does it give you a portal to do an assessment and identify the digital skills that you may be weaker on or have gaps, it also provides you with learning pathways and courses to fill those gaps and improve those skills. So that's quite a nice one. That's an EU funded programme, and I have to say I've only just come across it myself, and I think it's excellent for taking you on that journey and making sure you plug your gaps. My Digi Skills is another one, which is again another EU funded programme, and it does give you opportunities there to assess where your skills gaps are. And I haven't looked at this one just in too much detail, but it is just another one that you can go in and use to identify those skills gaps. Okay, so hopefully those two links will be very helpful for you. So say for instance, you've done your digital skills assessment, you've identified where your weaknesses are, and you've mapped, this is the important bit, you've mapped it across to the job specification of the job you're applying for, or for the job you're about to walk into to start working in. And you've noticed, or you've spoken to some of the employees who work there, and they've said, oh, we use Slack a lot, or we use Teams, Microsoft Teams a lot, and you go, oh my goodness, I haven't a clue about that. You know, make sure that you're, you know, trying to upskill and improve those digital skills gaps where, you know, and the pieces of software that you think are probably going to be used in that organisation. And there's no harm in asking, by the way, asking the employer or asking at interview, what types of software do you use, you know, to communicate with each other? Is there any particular software I could be upskilling myself on if I were successful in getting the job, to make sure that I'm ready, you know, I'm ready to jump straight in and be able to use it. That's very impressive. They've been really impressed with you for even thinking of asking that question. So here are some examples of places where you could go and get free courses and learn and upskill yourselves in those identified areas. So the first one is LinkedIn Learning. Now, I would just say a caveat in that. All Ulster University students at the minute have free access to LinkedIn Learning courses, but it is stopping in July. So please, please, please make the most of it now. If there are any courses in any area, and it could be in technology, in business, in career development, it could be in any of those areas. If there are any courses that you want to do in LinkedIn Learning, do go in and do them now. What I have done is I've also given you a link there for a pathway that I created for Ulster students, and it's called Essential Digital Skills for the Workplace, and that's free access course. It's a learning pathway. I've just popped it into the chat there, so you're welcome to go in and pick and choose out of the courses that I've included, or just follow the pathway completely down, and you'll get digital certificates which you can then add to your LinkedIn profile as well. Doesn't do any harm. Another one is Santander Scholarships. That's a new one that is out at the moment. It has a closing date, I think it's the 30th of June. And the nice thing about the digital pathway scholarship is that when you complete the course, there are 29th of June, sorry, when you complete the course, there's a draw and you could win one of 88 grants of £2,500. Okay, so that is quite a good one, and that's if you're looking to start a new job, or maybe even to set up a business online. Okay, so that is a really good scholarship available at the minute. And as I say, you need to register before the 29th of June to even get a shout in to get one of those grants. Okay. Another great place is Google Digital Garage. There's loads of free online courses there, and they are excellent. And a lot of our academics would use Google Digital Garage in their own degree programs as supplementary learning. So that's how good those are. And another last one is the complete is Future Learn. And again, I've put a link in there of one that I found on Future Learn, which is the complete guide to digital skills, and I will pop that in the chat for you as well. So there's that, and then also, sorry, there's our YouTube channel, Careers at Ulster. Please follow us, subscribe to Careers at Ulster on YouTube. There are loads of free videos, tutorials, recordings from Future Skills Week. I have some Microsoft Office sessions on there on Excel, Word, PowerPoint, and Outlook that you can go back and watch as well for some training. So lots, even out of those, what's that, 1, 2, 3, 4, four websites for courses for digital skills, you should get everything that you need there in every piece of software that you need to learn. Okay. Any questions on any of this before we start to wrap up? All good, Ella, thank you. Oh, okay, you man. Yes, do you know what I'll do? Leave that with me. I must have that course pathway. I wonder. I'll have a look at that for you, and I'll make sure it's open access. Is that okay? Maybe would you try it again tonight? I'll try and make that open access so that everybody has access to it. And you can connect with me on LinkedIn as well. And if it's still not working, send me a wee message and I'll see if I can get that shared with you again. Thank you for that. Okay, good to let me know. Okay, so those were some of the places you can go to skill up and learn, and I better let some of you go because there's another session starting at 11. I don't want to keep you back. So this is the next step. So the first thing I would recommend is that you assess your digital fitness. Okay, use one of those apps that I gave you. Set some goals. Don't try and do it all at once because you'll just fry your head and you'll forget everything. So do set goals. Prioritize which skills you think, digital areas you think would be most important to learn, that you would need to know to really fly in your job and to get your tasks done, and set those as your first action points to accomplish. Complete some of those online courses or tutorials. Do seek out people who are good at those digital skills to maybe guide you on it if you really do feel lost. Just ask somebody to help you with that, okay? If you're unsure who to ask, come to the Career Centre and say, or contact one of us and say, look, I know I really need help with my Excel skills, but I've done a course and I still don't get it. Where can I go to get more support? We will help find somebody to help you with that. And do reach out to the employer. So if you are, here's another really good question to ask at interview. And that is the sandbox question is a good one to ask. So if you're at interview and you say, look, it comes to the questions and say, do you have any questions for us? A question you could ask is something like, if I'm successful in being appointed to the post, I want to make sure that I'm well prepared to use your online systems. Would it be possible to have access to a sandbox version so that I can become familiar with the system before I start, if I'm successful in being appointed? And basically a sandbox version is just a trial version of the live system, but it's basically to allow you to practice without corrupting any of the live data. Okay, so that would be very impressive to an employer. All right, I'm going to pop that question. Would it be helpful if I gave you that question in the chat? There we are. Okay, so there's a wee question that would be good for you to ask, and it just shows them also that you understand the importance of digital skills to be able to perform really, really well in your job, and that would be impressive to them. Okay, well look, that's us done. Thank you so much for attending the session today. I'm open to any questions that you have. Gail has an access to enhancing your communication skills, which is just starting now. So the link is in the chat. You're welcome to click on that and jump straight into that session now if you want to head on.